dismantle federal agencies, fire people, transfer them, offer them early retirement. I move that the committee subpoena Elon Musk to come before it as a witness at the earliest possible moment.
There's been a motion and second. The motion is not debatable.
I think it's outrageous that this committee will not even entertain a motion.
No, you state your...
Chairman, that's not a point of order.
Somebody
You know,
who's breaking the law
agree. Point
and
of order.
dismantling our federal agencies.
Chairman, I agree.
and
There's
hiring
point of
federal
order.
employees
No, we don't listen to
and
demagogues.
data.
My job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country, but it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which.
Nobody in the United States feels like anybody could give them a full accounting of where all this money goes. We're $30-something trillion in debt. We spend more money than we bring in. This has been going on and on for years. Both parties say they're going to do something about it, and then we meet about it, and we have committees, and we fight about it, and we have elections, and no one ever does anything. And then Trump shows up and unleashes Elon Musk on the federal government. And finally, people are like, well, maybe if we break a few eggs, we might turn up a few omelets here. And I just think the politics of this are going to give them a lot of leash in Washington, because they're going to end up turning over things that everyone's going to agree, oh, yeah, that was really
stupid. But Elon Musk also does.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got to tell you guys, I guess you can officially say that we are in the Twilight Zone. We're in Looney Tunes world when it comes to the mainstream liberal media and the coverage of Elon Musk and his Doge team trying to make the government more efficient. Okay, the liberal media, they are obsessed with Elon Musk and who's on this team, who's working for Elon, what are they doing, right? Why are they stealing grandma's Social Security, right? This is what they're saying, okay? They are hyperventilating. And let's just say that the mainstream liberal media got a pleasant surprise with some of the information they found out about these whiz kids that are working to expose the Democrat Party. Take a look.
Yes, so this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge. And we looked into his background. And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains.
Look at Big Balls. Have you ever seen a more Joffrey-looking mother in your life? He looks like if Jimmy Neutron joined the Hitler Youth. This guy looks like if the phrase, "Do you know who my father is?" gained sentience. According to Wired, some government employees said that Crown Prince Big Balls has appeared on calls where workers were made to go over code they had written and justify their jobs. Imagine working decades in public service, distributing humanitarian aid, and then having to defend your job to a kid who just discovered the show Family Guy, probably. Like, he's like, we need to fire these people. They are so not giggity.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. I guess you could say that the jokes write themselves, except I believe that the joke is on the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, because once again, they find themselves on the opposite aisle of what the American people want, right? They find themselves in a place where they're basically saying, you know what, it's totally fine for the federal government to spend money on useless, wasteful things, sending our taxpayer dollars overseas to conduct CIA missions and to overthrow dictatorships and all types of crazy stuff that they send our money overseas for. That's totally fine. That's totally okay. We want to continue to waste your taxpayer dollars. You want to continue to tax you into oblivion. That is what the Democrats are standing for right now, okay? But they're pretending as if what they're standing for is transparency.
We should have an oversight committee to look at these things. And that was the clip that we played was the oversight committee. And, Republicans voted it down, this review of Elon Musk, 20-19. My problem is not the review, but who is in office, this unelected billionaire, and what the heck is he doing? Like, we have no transparency, not necessarily about the actions that are being made, but about who is making the decisions and why he's making those decisions. And I would caution everybody, please again read Project 2025 because Trump claimed that he didn't read it, right? That he didn't read it. He doesn't know anything about it. 36 of the acts that he has done in these very, very long, almost 3 weeks, come from Project 2025. And the other thing that I want to note, the final thing is Russell Vought, who is the architect of Project 2025, is now up to be the Director of Management and Budget. He said, yes. Somebody looks very shocked in the audience. That's the OMB office. When I was a federal prosecutor, that's a very important office. And the interesting thing about it is he says in Project 2025 that his goal is to slash federal funds and put civil servants in trauma. Sir, civil servants are serving their country. You do it not for the money, because you don't make any money. You do it to serve and help.
I want people to learn this word if they haven't heard it before. Kakistocracy, okay? With a K. Kakistocracy, not kakistocracy, kakistocracy. It is a government run by the worst, least qualified, or most unscrupulous citizens. And I feel it is exactly what we are living through right now. To your point, it's only been 2.5 weeks. God help us. We have to go through 4 years of this, which is why we need to set up some guardrails by making sure that there is a Democratic House or Senate and Senate in 2 years, because it is the only way that there will be any guardrails against what Donald Trump and Elon Musk is doing. I'm very worried about the conflicts of interest with Elon Musk that nobody seems to care about. This is a man who himself, his companies have gotten billions of dollars. Look.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now all of a sudden, you have the cackling hands on the View, who supported the least transparent administration in history, the Biden-Harris administration. Now, all of a sudden, they are pretending as if they are concerned about who's running our government, when they weren't concerned about who was running our government under the Biden-Harris administration, in which it was clear that Joe Biden was not running our government. And also, our government was doing a really bad job. The American people were very dissatisfied with the Biden administration, but they had no concerns, right? Zero concerns whatsoever. But now, all of a sudden, you have concerns about transparency and who's running our government when we have a president in charge that actually is cognitively fit to be in office. And on top of that, he is enacting an agenda that the American people voted for, which is to make the government more transparent, something that these individuals really don't want.
I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good afternoon. Late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed more than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars, $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice. Federal funds were also used to forcibly transition male monkeys to see if hormone therapy made them more susceptible to HIV.
New reporting reveals that USAID and a CIA analyst were behind a project that later led to one of Trump's impeachments. Independent journalist Michael Schellenberger joins us to try to convince me that I should believe this. Shelley, always a pleasure. Good to see you, Mike.
Great to see you, Chris.
So, sell me on it. How much do you believe this?
Well, look, here's what we know. We know that USAID effectively created this organization called the Organized Crime and Corruption Research Project, Reporting Project, OCCRP, which nobody's heard of, but it teams up with well-known news media companies around the world. We know that it would not exist had it not rerouted a State Department grant from its narcotics enforcement division through USAID, and that USAID can sign off on all of the senior, has to sign off, has a requirement to sign off on all the senior staff and on the work plan. We also know that it did the foundational research that was essential to bringing the impeachment case against Trump in December of 2019. It was what the CIA whistleblower relied upon in his initial complaint in December of 2019. So those are the facts of it.
Wait,
when you
explain
piece
that
it
part.
together and you
Explain that part. Michael, explain what they funded and how it's connected to what the CIA agent and who that was, what we know, because I thought it was the original guy was the British guy that was hired by the Oppo research place that Clinton had been working with, and he was collecting it from his sources. What are you believing now?
Yeah, I mean, this is the case of you remember, this is where Trump talks about the perfect phone call with Ukrainian President
So this is a second
Zelensky.
impeachment.
Impeachment, yeah, of 2019. So this is basically a situation where the CIA person in the White House who'd been left over by Obama writes a complaint describing alleged violation of the law. This was then picked up and the House impeached Trump. The Senate, of course, declined to hear it. But I think what's so interesting here is that this is an organization that's behind it, that's funded by USAID, that would not exist without USAID, engaging in what I think you have to consider to be domestic politics, which is absolutely forbidden. You have to remember that our intelligence agencies, our foreign policy establishment, of which USAID is a big part, it's not really an economic development agency. I think people misunderstand that part. It's really about soft power. It's about establishing the power of the United States in like an aggressive way, including in regime change. The head of this group, OCCRP, actually brags of helping to change the governments in 4 or 5 different countries, actually brags of the regime change. So this looks like regime change tactics that the CIA and USAID had done abroad being brought back home against Donald Trump.
Yeah, transparency is the last thing that Democrats and liberals want, right? They definitely do not want that, which is why they're boohoo-whining and crying about this so much, because of the fact that this is bringing transparency to what the federal government is wasting our taxpayer dollars on, okay? And the corruption that is rotten to the core of the government, right? And because that has been dismantled, the money train is over for these liberal nonprofits that end up giving these kickbacks to Democrats and their friends and their children and all this stuff, because the grift is over, right? The big Ponzi scheme with taxpayer dollars is over. Now they're boohoo-whining and crying. They're upset. Okay, that's what they're really mad about. So that being said, let's actually go straight to the source here, Scott Bessent, who is in charge of the Treasury, right? So, he is the guy that you would go to ask about Elon Musk and the work that he's doing. And it turns out that the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, they were boohoo-whining and crying over a big nothing burger. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There is widespread concern about the Doge team's access to sensitive payment systems. Are you worried at all that that access and that tinkering of the payment systems could affect the Treasuries market or cause any disruption?
Good. Well, Saleha, thank you for asking me about that, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. First of all, when you say the Doge team, these are Treasury employees. It is 2 Treasury employees, one of whom I personally interviewed in his final round. There is no tinkering with the system. They are on read-only. They are looking. They can make no changes. It is an operational program to suggest improvement. So we make 1.3 billion payments a year. And this is 2 employees who are working with a group of long-standing employees.
Yeah, so basically in a nutshell, what he's saying is that they have read-only access, which means they can't make any changes at all on their own. And any changes that they make or that they're suggesting probably would have to be approved by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, right? There's no doubt in my mind any changes that they make have to be approved by him, because he runs the Treasury, okay? So my guess is that they're probably using technology to, 1, identify wasteful spending, okay? And then 2, also on top of that, they're probably trying to upgrade the system, right? That's a big thing that President Trump wants to do. He wants to modernize the government, which would make the government more efficient. By definition, you need less employees if your systems are better, right? That is, I think, what the goal is here. So I think more so than anything, these engineers are essentially trying to figure out ways to upgrade and improve our infrastructure, right? I think this is more of an infrastructure project than anything. And it just so happens that being able to identify wasteful spending is also a part of the project as well, too. That's what's happening. Again, this is being overblown into something that is not. You have these leftists panicking, putting out lies claiming that Elon Musk is looting the Treasury, right? I mean, this is defamatory stuff at this point.
So as you all know, Elon Musk illegally hacked the Treasury and ransacked it the other day with, I think it's 6 different 20-something-year-old pilled up Elon heads, I guess you can call them. Little sycophants to Elon, just fresh out of college, listening to everything he says, committing federal crimes on a whim. So he goes into the Treasury, elbows his way in the room, tries to hack the payment system. The acting secretary at the time said, this is wildly illegal and I'm not going to let you do it. So Elon basically had him fired. He had to resign to get out of there. Then Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, who Trump picked, basically gives Elon free rein in there. Elon goes into the Treasury computers and starts deleting shit he wants to delete. Just starts deleting shit, right? He says, I deleted the free tax filing system, which was brand new. He's like, we got rid of that. They're going after USAID. They're apparently going after the Department of Labor. They're sending out all these notices to people, telling them to resign throughout the government. This is all totally illegal, totally unconstitutional. Congress has the power of the purse. The things that were signed into law are already done. Like, you can't retroactively say, I don't like this, I don't like this. Who the fuck are you?
They want you to think that Elon Musk is going to take away grandma's check because he needs to be richer. Elon Musk doesn't need to be richer. That's what these people don't understand. These people don't understand that Elon Musk is not doing this for money. He doesn't need more money, right? He has all the money you could ever want. At this point, I really believe that Elon Musk legitimately wants to help our country run better and to be better. Because the better our country is, the better off that his projects will be, and he will be more likely to achieve his mission and what he wants to do, right? He wants to progress humanity forward. Now, some people are afraid of that. They don't know what that future entails, a more technologically advanced future. I understand that. But a technologically more advanced future is inevitable. And it's better to shape the culture of a technologically advanced future rather than to run away from it. Because it's going to happen, right? It doesn't matter what we do, it's going to happen, okay? And that's the thing that I love the most about this movement is that we have an opportunity going into the golden age of technology to culturally shape it and to conserve the values and the principles that made this country great in the first place, right? What it means to be American. We can put our stamp on that going into the golden age of technological advancement, right? And that's, again, I think the beautiful part about this, because over the last 4 years, it was looking like we were going to go into a tech age of left-wing, far-left authoritarianism, right? That is what it looked like for a long time, but the tides have turned.
The letter that the Treasury Department sent earlier this week talked about how the team currently does not have access to change the system. Have they at any point this year had the ability to make changes?
Absolutely not. This is no different than you would have at a private company. And by the way, the ability to change the system sits over at the Federal Reserve. So it doesn't even lie in this building. So they could make suggestions on how to change the system, but we don't even run the system.
And if they ask for, if they request the ability to change the system, would you grant that?
No, again, they have no ability to change the system. I have no ability to grant that change. That they can make suggestions, then it would go to the Federal Reserve, and just like any large ERP system, there would be tests, there would be this, there would be that, and then the Fed will determine whether these changes are robust or not.
As the Secretary of Treasury, you also oversee the IRS. Do you know what kind of access the team has to IRS data or individual taxpayer data?
Well, I'm glad you asked that too, because look, the IRS, the privacy issue is one of the biggest issues. And over the past 4 years, we've seen a lot of leaks out of there. The IRS systems are quite poor. When I started in college in 1980, I learned the program in COBOL. I think there are 12 different systems at the IRS that still run on COBOL, but as of now, there is no engagement at the IRS.
And if they request that access, would you sign off on that request?
They haven't, so we'll take that when it comes to it. I think there is a lot to do there, but the president was elected with a big agenda, and to the extent that getting the IRS in better shape is part of that, sure. Because look, with the IRS, what am I concerned about? I am concerned about collections. I'm concerned about privacy. And I'm concerned that the system is robust.
But do you
and
think,
customer service.
But do you think that if they ask for access, that is something you would consider signing off on?
There are a lot of things I'd consider, but look, we're in the middle of the tax filing season right now. We even, with the government buyouts that expire at midnight tonight, we have mandated that the IRS customer-facing employees, that they're not eligible for that until May 15th. So I don't imagine anything's going to go on at the IRS until then or beyond.
Yeah, so again, if you listen to what he's saying is that a vast majority of the work is probably identifying how to upgrade the system, right? How to upgrade the government. The infrastructure, that's all it is. That's all it is. So again, these freakouts, they're unnecessary, okay? They're unnecessary. I mean, they're comical, but they're completely and totally unnecessary. I don't see what's wrong with bringing in some of the smartest engineers in the world, okay, regardless of their nickname, to come in and say, hey, let's make the U.S. government a well-oiled, first-class machine, right? I'm just saying, like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with making the U.S. government and their technology cutting edge? That's what it seems like this is about to me, right? Like, but again, these leftists, they swap and down. They're trying to steal grandma's Social Security check, right? They're trying to shut off your Medicare, take away your Medicaid. This is what they're saying.
Elon Musk just half an hour ago tweeted out that Treasury needs to stop approving certain payments. Has your staff tried to block any payments here at Treasury?
We have not, and I'm glad you asked that too. And just to put in perspective, Elon and I are completely aligned in terms of cutting waste and increasing accountability and transparency for the American people. I believe that this DOGE program in my adult life is one of the most important audits of government or changes to government structure we have seen. That when I was in my 20s, we had the Grace Report, and there's some great suggestions that came out of that, never implemented. Under Clinton and Gore, I think it was to government efficiency or reduce government. Nothing happened. So President Trump came in, there's a big agenda, and I think that there are gigantic cost savings for the American people here. And I think it's unfortunate the way the media wants to lampoon what is going on. These are highly trained professionals. This is not some roving band going around doing things. This is methodical, and it is going to yield big savings.
Boom. Boom. Right. Again, the freakouts are hilarious to me. It's hilarious. It really is. But, hey, I think President Trump has figured out how to play the media. You get them freaking out about everything, which means that in the grand scheme of things, they're freaking out about nothing. Because, again, if you're freaking out about everything, then people just don't take you seriously. Okay? People roll their eyes and they say, oh, here we go again, right? Another meltdown, more boohoo, whining and crying. But, hey, I enjoy it. I really do. I just personally think it's a sign that President Trump is doing the right thing, right? The more these people boo-hoo, want to cry, the more I'm like, yeah, President Trump is doing the right thing. So, yeah, I mean, again, for most people that are concerned about this, this is an infrastructure upgrade project. Yes, Democrats are getting exposed. Yes, there are some agencies that are getting shut down, okay? But, when it comes to the Treasury payments and stuff like that, everything from the liberal media is nothing but hyperbole and lies, right? That's all it is, okay? They're trying to revive the Democrat Party, right? That's what they're trying to do. But it's not working. It's not working. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.